Hello everyone, this week we'll talk about happiness. And first, let's start with if whether a happiness is a natural state or if it has some conditions. Let's go with it. Firstly, we should know that happiness does not mean having all of our personal needs met, feeling pleasure all the time, always feeling satisfied with life, never feeling negative emotions, pain, sadness, anger, etc. It's a natural feeling. Of course, there are times that we need to do something to feel happy, but sometimes happiness comes before we do specific things, and we will consider them with the sayings of famous people, philosophers and theologians, and also by the definitions made upon happiness. So let's go through what definition of happiness is. Happiness is a state of a human which corresponds to the greatest internal satisfaction of his or her being, conditions, completeness and consignedness of life, and realization of his or her human destination. For example, Darren McMahon has said that happiness is never simply a function of good feeling, but rather of living good lives, lives that will almost certainly include a good deal of pain. Okay? Actually, including the pain into the definition of happiness. Sonia Lyubomirsky says that the experience of joy, contentment, or positive well-being, combined with a sense that one's life is good, meaningful, and worthwhile, is happiness. Aristotle states that happiness is a work of soul in virtue completeness. Happiness comes in time due to self-cultivation. And virtue is a positive, moral quality of a man's character defined by his thoughts and actions. And according to Yolom, whom I think all of you know from existential therapy, he says that actually happiness is so associated with creating a meaning in life. And he states that tendency to positive freedom, tendency to do creative work, to do services for other people, to be involved in life, and devotion to cause are the basis of creating happiness in our lives. And according to Abraham Maslow, if your needs are met in this life, starting with physiological needs, then satisfying your needs of being safe and protecting, and then meeting your needs of membership and love, and meeting your need of self-respect, and at the end, as a result of actualizing yourself, happiness comes on its way. And Erich Fromm states that actually there is an association with happiness and existential needs. And existential needs are the needs which help individuals to join the world. And he states that meeting the needs of affiliation, self-overcoming, feeling rooted in the world, having a self-identity, and having a value system will create happiness in life. And Dalai Lama has some assumptions of happiness, of course. He says that the main motivation of our life is aspiration for happiness, and it is the result of disciplined man's mind, the soul of whom is full of sympathy, kindness, and patience. Okay, and you see that there are lots of definitions from different people's different perspectives. At the basis, the important thing is how you define happiness. And please write in the comments part how do you define happiness? What is happiness for you? Let's discuss it. Of course, it will change for all of us. Maybe it will not change. I don't know. We'll see. But what does happiness mean to you? Okay, and there are some research, of course, on what determines our happiness, and Louis Bomirski's study states that half of our happiness comes from our genes, 10 of them from life circumstances. That means working, having money, having working at a good job, or the place you are living. And actually 40% comprises intentional activity to feel yourself happy, to create your own happiness. And of course there are some points which we refer to as happiness square. At the basis of it, according to some approaches, there is health. Okay, and beyond that, in order to foster happiness, family life and vocation, life consciousness, money, are the parts that um, constitute our happiness. What about you? Among these, money, health, family life, vocation, life consciousness, which one is important for you? Which one holds the first line? And think of this slide and what are your happiest moments? For example, for someone, a sincere smile from another person might make you happy. Sometimes a bird of a child or a nature walk make a person happy. What makes you happy? And okay, these are the general assumptions about happiness, but what happens due to the nature of happiness in real life? Firstly, we see that there is hedonic adaptation. It is our ability to adapt to changes in our life circumstances. Our life changes, right? You will graduate, you will find a new work, maybe you will have to move. Sometimes you stay where you are. Sometimes unexpected situations happen. You break up your relationship, you start a new relationship, etc. And human beings are remarkable at getting used to changes in their lives. We are able to adapt to changes in lives, although sometimes they are scary. And new things boost our happiness for a short while, but then we go back to our baseline. Okay, actually, for happiness, it is stated that we might have a baseline, a set point, and the changes in our lives can hinder and can increase our level of happiness. Then afterwards, after the impact of those pleasant changes pass away, then we will go back to our baseline. Another important assumption about the nature of happiness is affective forecasting. It is predicting how much a life event is likely to impact you. People think that really good events are going to make them happy and keep them happy for a very long time, and that really bad events are going to crush them for the unforeseeable future. But this is based on your affective forecasting. This is like maybe you will think that starting a new job will make you very happy and you will stay happy very long, or graduating from, or sometimes not finding a job will crush you and you will never be able to manage this feeling. But actually effectively predicting how much these events will affect you is dependent on your ability to manage to regulate these emotions, because anytime these assumptions, these scenarios may not work. The things that you think that you will, that you think that will make you very happy may not make you happy, and the things that you think will crush you may not crush you. And also we have impact bias. In order to understand the nature of happiness, we actually often underestimate our ability to recover from difficult experiences, but instead we have some psychological immune system. We are able to overcome difficult experiences. An impact bias in this regard is a major cause of mistakes in affective forecasting, which is not being able to predict the effect of life situations in our life. It can lead us to avoid certain decisions or activities out of an inflated fear that they will harm our happiness, or to convert certain outcomes that don't actually boost our happiness as much as we think they will. Okay, so if we mistaken, and it is most probable that we will be mistaken in affective forecasting, and then this impact bias will show itself as a result, as a consequence of this affective forecasting, and as a result we will actually inevitably underestimate our ability to recover from difficult experiences. However, since we have psychological immune system, if we live at a point trying to predict how we will feel, let's say when if we win a lottery, or how we will feel if we cannot find a job as soon as we graduate, then everything will be easier to manipulate and to regulate. Because maybe you have read in one of Gülseren Budayıcıoğlu's book, there was her client, a very poor man who won the lottery, but after learning that he won that lottery, he stopped eating and he wasn't able to do anything. His mind was stuck. So the lottery didn't bring him the happiness that he thought would bring. So this impact bias is important in order not to lose our ability to recover from difficult experiences we go through. And also this is important for our clients, because if we meet with clients always predicting that if they do if they go on a vacation they will be happy, and or if your client's happiness is dependent upon a specific situation, be knowledgeable that actually when it's not met, or even when it's met, the happiness will not come. Okay, may not come. And actually, just useful tips to feel yourself happy and to lengthen your happiness firstly is, don't postpone your happiness. I will be happy when X, Y, Z happens. Don't postpone it, do it now. Don't underestimate your resilience and put things off with the fear of failure. And spend your money on experiences rather than material things would be good, useful tips. Does money bring happiness? Let's see. A research by Diener states that money indeed increases the level of happiness when it helps to lift people out of poverty in that situation only. And earning up to $75,000 in US makes people happier, but when that level is reached, our happiness seems to be unaffected with more income. Okay? These research findings are important. And the research on the benefits of happiness, according to Louis Burminsky, people make more money if they are happy. People make more money and are more productive at work. They are smarter and more creative, healthier and live longer, have stable and fulfilling marriages, have more friends, are more generous, cope better with stress and trauma, and they are more resilient and have stronger immune system. Which means having money doesn't make you happy. Being smart and creative may not make you happy. If you are healthy and live longer may not make you happy. Okay, having a good marriage may not make you happy, but you are happy. According to the research, it's more probable that you will achieve these. And what makes us happy? Okay, there are proven facts that actually good sleep patterns, regular exercise, and achievements make us happy. Also, social connections, romantic relationships, being with family and friends, showing compassion and kindness to ourselves and to other people, forgiveness and mindfulness make us happy. To start with social connections, Brené Brown states that connection gives us meaning and purpose in life. And Diener and Seligman states that social relationships form a necessary but not sufficient condition for high happiness. They say social relationship is an important part of happiness, but they might not be the only condition for it. And there is one experiment stating that when people are actively excluded from a game, same regions of their brain light up when they are undergoing physically painful experiences. So instead of being excluded, being included in social connections are important to foster happiness. Otherwise, a physically painful experience um, part of our part of brain which states that we are in a physical painful experience is triggered. They have the same effect. And we say that in terms of fostering happiness, there is this benefits of touch. Recent studies show many physical and emotional benefits of touch, especially on happiness. And touch activates the feelings of reward and compassion, and appropriate touch by teachers resulted higher class participation among students. Okay, and this results in happiness as well. And for kindness and compassion, firstly, we should be kind and compassionate to ourselves. We are not talking about an egocentric, only self-loving approach, but trying to accept ourselves as all we are already. Okay, trying to accept both my positive and negative dimensions is being kind and compassionate to myself. And Dalai Lama states that if you want others to be happy, practice compassion. If you want to be happy, practice compassion. And when we consider the benefits of kindness and giving, actually showing kindness and compassion to other people and yourself brings less loneliness and better health at overall. And volunteerism enhances well-being and life expectancy. Most of the time, my students from community work, community service courses give me feedback that they started to feel themselves happier as long as they started to do something for the community, for other people. So indirectly, we can see that this volunteerism enhances happiness as well. And kindness and being compassionate promotes cooperation and social connection. It evokes gratitude and is contagious. And research states that giving something to someone else has a bigger happiness benefit than spending on the self. Forgiveness is another dimension related to happiness. The hurts and conflicts we suffer in life take a considerable toll on our psychological and physical well-being, and holding on to grudges and dwelling on them undermines our happiness. But research indicates that forgiveness is associated with lower levels of stress, better moods, higher happiness, and happier relationships. So if you forgive, you will be happier. And on this, There is a good saying, holding on to anger is like grasping a hot coal with the intent of throwing it at someone else. You are the one who gets burned actually. And another famous topic to cover is mindfulness. Thich Nhat Hanh states that when we are mindful, we are deeply in touch with the present moment. Our understanding of what is going on deepens, and we begin to be filled with acceptance, joy, peace, and love. So recent studies states that as we become more mindful, as we stay at the present moment, our happiness level will increase. The opposite of mindfulness is mind wandering, which is we are full of thoughts and we are not finishing one thought and passing to the other one, but our mind is wandering with lots of thoughts at the same time. Okay, so we have difficulty concentrating on a specific task. And one of the studies of Kingsford stated that 47% of the time we are thinking something else than what we are currently doing. For example, if you are watching this video, check yourself and catch yourself. Are you thinking of something else as well? Are you doing two things at the same time? And people are substantially less happy when their minds are wandering than when they are not. Think, are you eating? Are you also checking your Instagram while listening to this video? Are you cooking at the same time? Are you doing lots of things at the same time? This is important to catch in ourselves. And there is a strong relationship between mind wandering now and being unhappy a short time later. Because the mind gets tired and you are not able to focus on present moment. And after a while, of course, you will start to feel yourself depressed, okay, unhappy. So try to do only one thing at a moment. So at this point, just try to listen to me. And research on the relationship of mindfulness and brain's functioning states that actually there are parts of the brain mindfulness foster. And firstly, at first step, if you meditate, dorsomedial prefrontal cortex is activated and it enables your thoughts to focus on one thing. So to develop your attention, you can try this. Secondly, interpretation of your experience leads to happens in temporal lobe, and it allows a person to interpret events positively by weakening the fight or flight response. So you are getting calm, you don't perceive any threat or danger, but your temporal lobe allows you to interpret events positively by keeping you calm. And thirdly, your prefrontal cortex is triggered as a result of mindfulness practices, and this prefrontal cortex allows you not to be judgmental, causing you to feel less mental discomfort. And lastly, discovery is fostered by mindfulness practices, and posterior cingulate cortex is activated, and it fosters curiosity, and in this part the curiosity amplifies in this region, strengthening neural connections to become more self-aware. Okay, and they at this moment they associate mindfulness practices, the results of mindfulness practices on the brain by calming you down, by being non-judgmental, and by being able to encourage your self-awareness, and as a result, it will promote your happiness level. And to sum up, some tips: do acts of random kindness to other people to be happy. You can be a volunteer for anything and help others. You may keep a gratitude journal for the things you have in your life. You may forgive quickly. You may practice mindfulness, and you may show self-compassion towards yourself. Thank you. Bye bye.